several different regional and national working groups. So that's included the Consumer Horticulture and Master Gardener Professional Interest Group of the American Society for Horticultural Science, the National Initiative for Consumer Horticulture, and SCC-85, a multi-state Southern Coordinating Committee. So they have a lot of great information to share today. So I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll get recording, and Terri can share her screen.
Can you see it okay?
We've got it. Thanks, Terri.
All right.
All right, so welcome everybody. So glad to have a few minutes with you this afternoon. I'm Sheri Dorn from the University of Georgia, and just really pleased to be with you this afternoon. A great group of colleagues, all of you here. If any of you all were at the 2022 Extension Master Gardener National Coordinators Conference in Savannah, you heard several of us talking about some resources that we wanted to share with you. And we are so happy today to be able to actually give these to you. This webinar is all about sending you home with goodies. And it's these tools, these resources that we're planning to share with you this afternoon are really focusing on the impact of human health and well-being from the influence of plants, how plants impact our quality of life, and the many benefits that consumer horticulture brings to individuals as well as our communities. So we're going to lead off this afternoon with all of these tools and goodies that we're going to share with you. Terri, if you want to take us to our next slide.
So we just wanted to kind of just do a quick icebreaker. And this is actually going to be part of the tools that we will be giving you, part of the survey that would go along with the information that we're providing that you can use in your own training. But we wanted to get your reactions. So those of you that are either on computer or you can grab your phones, if you want to go to slido.com, and the event code is April EMGV. There's going to be a quick little survey in there. And there's 4 questions. You just basically have to do all 4 questions real quick, and we will then be able to see the results online and kind of discuss and see where we are all at when we're talking kind of this plant people connection and how consumer horticulture works within our daily lives. So if you can do that, I have people already responding, so thank you very much. And we'll give you just a minute or so to do this.
Don't forget to press send to submit your answers.
Yep, thank you. Maybe do a thumbs up on Zoom if you have hit your send and you are all done. That will move us along if we're holding things up. We have a lot to cover of very interesting things, and I don't want to run out of time. All right. Okay, well, let's see what your results are. So the first one I wanted to do was just kind of that word cloud as to what is consumer horticulture, or when you are talking to your clientele, what do you see as horticulture and what words do you use for consumer horticulture? So they're starting to generate. Looks like gardening is one of the big ones. Applied plant knowledge, very broad, all-encompassing. Homeowners, plant people connection, floriculture, practical. So great words. Gardening is getting bigger and bigger. You guys are all typing in gardening. Okay. So we're going to look at the score for like how do you would like to incorporate this into your EMG training. And it looks like quite a few of you would like to incorporate this kind of a tool into some of your training. Oh, hold on. Where are we at? My internet is bogged down. There we go. Okay, familiar with consumer horticulture, most of you are. And that about half of you have offered some kind of consumer horticulture training. That is good to know. And that more of you would like to incorporate it into your training. So this is fantastic. So the four of us are going to be able to give you some tools that are already made and be able to help improve some of that and get all of you incorporated into putting this plant people connection into our Master Gardener training. All right, back to you, Sheri.
Yes. So as anything that we do and do well, we rely on our teams, our connections. I hope that many of you have working relationships. For us, as a speakers team, we have worked collaboratively through the years, and it really develops and brings out the best in our work. And with that, I want to say a special thanks to graduate student Mariana Harding from Auburn University. She came to us through Carrie Smith, who is Alabama's state coordinator. And Mariana has been able to help test some of our materials that we're sharing with you today and just really provide some insight. And it's at the same time, this project has offered some useful application for her graduate study. So I just want to acknowledge her contributions to our efforts, our projects this afternoon. All right. You want to advance that, Terri?
I'm trying.
Okay.
My computer is very slow. It's probably going to advance 5 slides now. There we go.
Well, we are really here to present a suite of resources that comes from a broad collaboration. And so I am kind of here to give a little bit of the backstory. And what you're really going to have the benefit of using in your future trainings comes from kind of a combination of organizations. And so we talk about this term, consumer horticulture, the cultivation, use, and enjoyment of plants, gardens, landscapes, and related horticultural items to the benefit of individuals, communities, and our environment. And when we think about a broad field like that, there's a lot of different people that are engaged in that. And we kind of in the academic community have the opportunity to work together a lot. But actually, this started just about the time that I came into Extension about 8 years ago. And the National Initiative for Consumer Horticulture is a collaboration that brings together industry, nonprofit, academics, educators, the whole plant community, because, in research and land grants, we're good at supporting our horticultural production community. We understand how to give them resources on growing and selling and marketing. But integrating that people component is not something that we have historically integrated well. Now, you're probably laughing because I'm preaching to really the only people in Extension that do this, right? And that's really our Master Gardener community. And so our goal is to kind of bring that integration of the human side to everything that we do in horticulture. And so niche gives us the opportunity to have landscape association members, to work with those who grow native plants or, members of the industry. And together we have been building resources that hopefully you've seen over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. And it gives us the opportunity to have advocacy efforts and a lot of different types of activities that honestly, we in academia are limited in how we can participate in some of those sorts of activities, and having industry partners that come alongside us gives us the opportunity to do things that we can't do alone. And also, we have really great opportunities sometimes as like numbers geeks or like programming people to have somebody in industry say, this is just something that y'all do. The rest of the world doesn't do this. So, we have that opportunity to connect with our growers and with our industries and do things and learn things that we couldn't by ourselves. So this is kind of what we do. We support research and consumer needs. We advocate in ways that moves the whole consumer industry field forward, and we develop educational materials. And so that third bullet is what you are going to see that really comes from some of our collaborative efforts. And the fun thing about Niche is that it does, pull on our public gardens, our nonprofits, our industry partners, but it also has a broad suite of academics in there. And so we work together through the SEC 85, which Pam's going to talk a little bit more about some of those products in just a little bit. And we want to provide easy to use resources for the broad horticultural community. So some of the content that you may have seen come out of Niche over the years has been some of the plants do that types of infographics. And our goal with developing some of those was really so that they could go out in, grower industry magazines. They could be used in displays at garden centers. They could support our retail institutions. They could equip, small garden centers to be able to do the education and understand this dynamic with the people that are involved in their industry. And so there's been, the first suite of graphics was really this, plants do that. So this was the first one that came out. And yes, we love the visual appeal of a document like this, but it also on the, the second page, which we don't always show, also has all of the research literature that backs that up. And then there were series that followed that kind of talked about where we learn, where we heal, where we work, where we live. And so we really wanted to connect to this benefit of plants with, with the broader communities in which we serve, and really show people how horticulture connects to every part of their life. It's something that we just kind of internalize. We just assume that this makes sense to people, but we continually have an audience that hasn't made all of these connections. And so I'm going to turn the floor over to Pam to share a little bit. Oh, I forgot. There's one more slide. We also do a lot of social media outreach. And so, as soon as I quit talking here very, very shortly, I'll put the link in the chat box. And if you haven't gotten connected with some of the newsletters and some of the content that we do at Niche, I would definitely invite you to do that. So Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff we do. Okay, Pam, I'm really going to stop talking.
Thanks, Natalie. And all of those above communications resources, Natalie said she put the link in consumerhort.org. And I'll tell you, I use them religiously if I'm doing any kind of programming that's a backyard garden, an organization like Kiwanis or Rotary. I take this information to them and put it in their hands. And every time I do something, I try to make sure people understand the value and the benefits of consumer horticultures. And in the beginning, Natalie mentioned the SCC. That is a Southern region committee that really actually started this whole effort with Niche and with these publications years ago. It is part of the southern part of the country, but Terri James from Nebraska and me from Ohio, a couple of us from the Big Ten, were invited to come in and participate in the SEC, not SEC, SCC, right, Sheri? And we were invited in on this, and all of us are in extension. All of us work with Master Gardener volunteers, and you all can imagine working with Master Gardener volunteers, and you know what it's like working on a landscape design by committee, for instance. Well, that was kind of like what this whole publication series was like. Natalie was kind of the cheerleader getting us all moving, provided leadership for it. But believe it or not, we were able to get these 6 different publications through 6 universities and our marketing and communications departments to get these published. So these are all available now. We had 6 universities participating and providing the details. And all of this is about consumer horticulture and the benefits. And you can see it goes from the environment down to individuals and families. And the best thing about this and all the stuff that Natalie mentioned is it's free. It's all available for you to use. You can click on that QR code right there to get all of these publications. We encourage you to download them and use them. I mean, if you're able to print them or send people to these sites, however you want to use these, they're fantastic resources. As Natalie mentioned, on the back, we have all of the sources cited. There was a lot of effort and a lot of thought put into these. And again, at times, Natalie probably thought she was herding cats to get these publications through our universities and to get all of us in a timely manner to get this stuff into her. But with everybody's collaborative efforts and everybody's help, we've got some really good resources that we encourage you to start using.
All right, so we've been talking about resources for you. This whole idea of connecting people and plants, as Pam explained, started as a 6 publication series that was authored by folks, horticulturalists from various states that we were all working together on this team and on these projects. Well, in 2020 and 2021 here in Georgia, I started a massive Master Gardener handbook revision project. Any of you that have handled that for your states know that it's an endeavor. And one of the goals that I had had for many years was to include in our Master Gardener training materials this aspect of connecting people and plants, all of these research-based benefits of the resulting from the interactions between people and plants. And it gave the perfect context for the programming that we do, for the education that we ask our Master Gardeners to help us deliver. So I reached back out to our team and I said, hey, what do you think about putting this together as a handbook chapter? And as long as I didn't ask somebody specifically to do it, I think everybody was cool with it. They were pretty supportive. So I took those 6 publications, honored the same structure from those six in the series, and packaged it together in a book chapter titled Connecting People and Plants. Now, Terri, bear with me. I'm going to switch over to my screen and show folks what this looks like, give them a little bit of look of about the book chapter. Pam, if you'll nod your head, are you seeing chapter 32? Excellent. All right, so just wanted to show you real quick. This book chapter is laid out for our book, our handbook here in Georgia, and it includes photos that are taken. There's several states there, but some of our locations that the photos support the points in the book, the photos are specific to Georgia. So we're actually going to give you a copy of this book chapter, and you are welcome to incorporate this in your materials, whether you want to put it in your training handbook or whether you want to, use it to accompany some training series or whatever. But you're welcome to use these materials, and you can see from how we've laid it out for our book, and you're welcome to change that and the layout and the photos and so forth and customize it for your state. And you'll see here at the end of the chapter in the resources section that we give a little bit of backstory, a little bit of explanation on the genesis of these publications and the links to the 6 individual ones. And we put that all together, again, packaging that up. And before that resources section, we do have this bit about leading the way and about how Master Gardeners can take this information and share it with their audiences. And again, once again, providing the context for the gardening, the simple gardening that we do, but showing the value in what we offer. And another resource that you will get includes, let me give a new share, includes also a training PowerPoint that follows this chapter and these publications. And this is a Connecting People and Plants. And what you're seeing on the screen is the PowerPoint that I've used here in Georgia and shared with the team. And again, you see a lot of the same aspects, the same topics, the same pictures. Here's that niche infographic that we put in there. But all of this goes back to the research that we have based those 6 publications on. And this is just an overview PowerPoint. And again, this is something that I use here in Georgia. Training Master Gardeners. Yesterday, I spoke to a high school group and trotted out this handy dandy little PowerPoint as well. So it's pretty versatile. And once again, this is a resource that we want to share with you to support your programming in this area as well. So, Terri, I'm going to ask you if you'll pick us back up in the PowerPoint, please. So part of, next slide, please. Part of our work as extension educators includes capturing that impact, figuring out what sort of results we're having, what sort of information gains and behavioral changes and so forth that we're seeing as a result of our work. So one of the caveats of using our free resources, because things always come with a price tag, right? So one of the caveats of using our resources that we hope that you will also use our evaluation tools. And we have created a Qualtrics survey. If you were to scan this QR code right now, it would take you to that Qualtrics survey that we want you to use with whatever audience you're using these materials with. So for example, if you decided to offer this training, use this PowerPoint, these printed materials to train your master gardeners, we want to hear about it. We want their feedback on their experience. We want your feedback on this experience. So use that QR code. It's set up it has some logic in there so we can track the different types of audiences and the questions are appropriate for the respondent. So we figured that if we were collecting the data, sooner or later, you were going to be curious. You would want to see what kind of results we were getting back, what kinds of, attitudes and knowledge gains and things like that we were seeing. So what we've done is actually, you can go back one slide, please, Terri. We are going to share the data from this survey, and we will just simply download it and post it in a shared spot that you'll learn about here in a minute. But we will post that for you, and you can get that information. So from those spreadsheets or whatever, you can filter out whatever you need to look for. All right. So this is we've got a book chapter, so printed materials. We've also got the 6 publications. We've got a PowerPoint that you can use, and we've got an evaluation tool. And what we're asking from you is to join us in this effort. So we realize that there are some state coordinators online. We want you to share the materials. We want you to consider including the book chapter. I think I saw Jennifer Marquis log on a few minutes ago, and I know Jennifer has already reached out to us. We've signed a copyright permission letter, and she's planning to incorporate that book chapter in the intro for her handbook there in Washington State. So that's just an example of ways that you can use that material. Consider hosting a Train the Trainer event for your local coordinators, and maybe even consider incorporating this material in Extension Master Gardener Volunteer Program updates and their public programming. So I want to just kind of open the floor for my fellow presenters. If you want to jump into this conversation and talk about what we're asking from our coordinators here.
Yeah, so pretty much we're just inviting you to share in whatever way works for you. I mean, Sheri oftentimes does this as a whole class during her intern training. I hope to get up to that, but we're honestly trying to reduce our lecture material for more interactive content in our training right now. And so a lot of times what I do with this material is integrate it into kind of my opening and closing. What do we do? Why is our program impactful? And then I weave in some of those benefits. So many similar looking slides, but kind of in a brief format with some of these resources.
And I've included this chapter in our training. It will be included in the manual the next time it comes out when we do a major update for next year. I take pieces of it, like I mentioned, with some of the other details whenever I go speak to public organizations, any seminars, any major programming efforts that we're doing. I have handouts periodically. You know how Master Gardener volunteers love handouts. We have handouts laying around for people to pick up to use. And our hope is that you will be able to train your Master Gardener volunteers to be doing this outreach in your community, going to some of the organizations and clubs and schools and use different pieces of it. So we're really hoping that you'll be able to use that. And then we'll also be incorporating evaluation links in here for you to use with your audiences so that we can get the feedback, you can get the feedback, see if it's working, see if we're getting our message across.
One of the other places that I've been kind of using this also is that within my other faculty within my department, because I'm housed in a department, not a county. So I'm on campus, but with my administrators and my fellow faculty people who do not understand, they know corn and soybeans, but they don't know the rest of the plants in the plant world. So helping them understand what consumer horticulture is and what I do every day has been very helpful also. So think about maybe sharing this, you know, maybe even more internally within some of your other faculty or administration to show them really what the impact of what the Extension Master Gardener Volunteer Program is and what horticulture and consumer horticulture is.
Yeah. And from time to time, you may be asked to make guest appearances, maybe in other classes, and other lectures, projects, whatever, you know, kind of cross out of your traditional assigned area. And we find that these materials are excellent at filling the gap, you know, when we are asked to do those types of presentations. It's surprising how useful these are. So again, what we're asking from you, if you're a state coordinator, consider how you would bring this material to your local coordinators and to your Master Gardener volunteers and within the state. And if you're a local coordinator listening in today, consider how you would bring these materials into your local county, into your local assignment there and your volunteers, and maybe even you direct programming with the public. So lots of ways that we can use it. So here's the $1 million question. How do I get a copy of it? And I saw it flash up in the chat box. Somebody was also asking for a copy of today's slides. All right, so we can help you. This particular QR code takes you to a shared drive. Actually the QR code takes you to a Qualtrics survey that you register for these materials, because of course I want to know who's asking for them so I can follow up with you at a later date. But this will take you to a Qualtrics survey. You give me a little bit of information, and then the reply message gives you a link to all of these materials, and it is a OneDrive link, and you can download the materials, the chapter, the PowerPoint. There's a script that goes along with the PowerPoint. We'll keep posting. I've got to upload your QR code images and so forth there. That still needs to be done. But if you consider using these materials and incorporating them in any sort of printed way, like if you include them in your handbook, you'll most likely need a copyright permission. And I've just served as that contact for that. So even though the materials were group written, I'll be handling those copyright permissions. So you can send that too. So Katie's asking, can I post a link in the chat too? Yes, I will do that in just a second. So with that, Terri, I'll hand it off to you. In the meantime, I'll get the links posted.
So we have lots of questions in the chat, and I'm not for sure how we want to handle those, but I don't have a problem you opening your mic and asking your questions. So feel free to do that. Or if we kind of know if Ashley or you know which ones needed to be asked, or were they all just general kudos?
A lot of it was just general, where do we get the resources? How do we get the information? And you all are sharing the links now in the chat, and then we'll pull it at the end along with everything else and get that to everybody in an email. So if you're not able to pull stuff now, we'll get it out to everybody.
Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask any of us, like specifics about any of the publications or all of Sheri's work on the chapter? If not, I'll call on you. That's
Sheri,
usually what I do with my students.
There was a question earlier if these publications are in Spanish or Arabic. And they are not in Arabic. Do we have any in Spanish at this point yet? I don't believe so. That'd be a good next step.
I'm not sure if people can unmute themselves, but if you have a question, you want to raise your hand, we can unmute you that way, I think.
I'll go if nobody else wants to. I was just going to type it in chat, but I will absolutely use this chapter in my basic training, which happens in the fall winter time frame, because that's when people are most likely to be available to be on their computer. And I'm excited about the graphics because I've been wanting to increase our social media presence, and I see this as a way to do that by using those to disseminate information to our local county. So thank you.
Thanks, Linda. I would say yes, Snitch has some fantastic social media posts that if anybody needs to fill in days or something for your social media, that is a fantastic resource to go and use. Anyone else?
I was just gonna comment on that too. I just was briefly checking the link, and not only are there all the graphics you shared, but there are tons of just like image graphics you can use in social media. And then there was another link that had a bunch of text. So that's a perfect resource because I know we all get stuck trying to post on social media all the time.
Mm-hmm. Especially science-based information.
Terri, did you have one more Slido?
No, no, I don't. No. Well, I guess I'm going to say thank you very much on behalf of my colleagues across the country. It has been fantastic to be able to work with these ladies, and some Friday afternoons when we've had meetings, it's been very punchy and lots of laughs and fun times. So it has been fantastic to be able to work on this project, and then to be able to finally see it come out and be able to share it across the country. So I'm sure if any of you have any questions, we can probably put our emails in the chat box if you want to directly email, or I don't know, Anne or Ashley, does that go out with the rest of the information, or?
You can do either. If we can
Okay.
also just send that all out in the follow-up email as well. Mhm.
Okay, that would be great. So
Okay.
I will hand it back over to you for your final announcements.
Before you do that, I would just want to say, if you'll also help us with feedback on today's presentation, I put a second Qualtrics link, and this is the same evaluation tool that you would share with your audiences. And again, it's got some logic built into that to help us sort out who's doing what. So thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, yeah, we'll gather all of this information and we'll send it out in a follow-up email. And then we do post all of the recordings to YouTube. So this is a link to the YouTube channel. So past years' webinars are on there. All of them now we're posting there as well. So we'll make sure we get all of the information out to everybody. I know there was a lot to kind of write down and click on and everything as we were going through. Just a reminder that we do post the webinar schedule on, it's posted in the e-blast that comes out. So make sure you're reading that. You can click on the QR code or the link there. Also, if you want to subscribe, they're posted on the EMG website as well. if you can't find a link, you can always just email Ashley or I directly, and we can get you the link for the webinar, for that day or whatever as you go through. And you can sign up for them. You can sign up for all of them throughout the year, or one or two at a time as well. These are the dates that are coming up. So 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every other month. So second Wednesday, our next webinar coming up on June 14th. That will be on making the most out of Qualtrics. So setting up a monthly survey and communication tool using Qualtrics. So just kind of some different ways to utilize Qualtrics for things other than just the workshop surveys and things you might be doing now. And then I did want to mention also that our December webinar will have some discussions. So if you want to take a look at the description of the December webinar on the website, if you think you might have anything to share, or just to kind of get it in your brain, something that might be coming up that you want to share or discuss in December, we'd like to have a little more open discussion time because we get so much information from everybody. So we don't have anything more for you today. Anybody have any other questions or anything? You can type them in the chat. Let me just check. All your links I think are in there, but we'll compile all those as well.
And I just wanted to say thank you to our presenters. You guys did an awesome job. This is so exciting, and I think a lot of people are going to really, really enjoy using these resources. So thank you all so much for sharing this with us today.
I agree. Thank you so much, and thanks so much for everybody attending. Don't forget to tell other coordinators about the webinar so we can get some more people joining.